Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Silver Tempest, make sure you check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using that code OmniPoke. For today's video, we are going to be revisiting an old classic, Arceus Duraludon. It's been around for a good amount of time, and that Skyscraper ability from Duraludon continues to be a massive selling point in the game, seeing as though it stops all damage by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon that have special energy attached to them. That's a whole heap of the format. There's Lugia, there's Mew, there's Regis. These are all very focused on special energy. Even things like Vikavolt creeping into the game of playing Speed Lightnings and any other Arceus matchup will also have them involved as well. So the Skyscraper is a great way to slow down all sorts of archetypes and force the opponent into jumping through hoops in order to even deal any damage to us whatsoever. So this is the main attacker that we are trying to power up with our Arceus. It also is able to hit 220, which is a very solid number, alongside the high boss's orders count we have in here to just take 2 prize knockouts before things evolve up, which is obviously huge for us. And it even goes through all effects, so we're not worried about any annoying walling Pokemon. We have that huge 330 hit points to rely on and no weakness, so very big chunky attacker that we try and use here. The regular V's okay as well. The hard coat can also keep us out of range, pushing us up to effectively 250 is really solid as a basic Pokemon, so something to bear in mind there. We play a 2-3 line because we actually play the Single Strike Mustard supporter in the deck, where if this is the only card in our hand, we can search the deck directly to grab a Duraludon and put it immediately into play. So it looks a little bit strange here, but that is the reason we play the additional copy of the VMAX, so that we can mustard into it when need be, and we have plenty in the deck if ever the mustard does come up. And it can come up more often than you'd expect, really, because you can try and fix your hand with the likes of Ultra Balls and Quick Balls via a Starbirth from the to grab the mustard as well. So that's a real nice combo to have in the deck. The Starbirth is, of course, that V-Star power we'll look towards in the game. It can really get us out the gates quickly and get some key pieces, obviously looking to find some combinations that get our Duraludon into play, but also get towards the 3 energy attack cost of Trinity Nova is a big deal here, because it can be such a great way for us to accelerate towards our Duraludon, which would otherwise be a pretty chunky and difficult Pokemon to get rolling, kind of too slow. So having this turn 2 attack, not only putting pressure on the board in terms of damage, but also accelerating and thinning the deck is really helpful to us here. The Trinity Charge is equally going to help out in a big way. There are actually a number of decks that have such high pressure that we may not even get to Starbirth, because very often we will try and give the opponents the meatiest prize map possible. So ideally we give up 1 Arceus, V or V-Star, whichever happens, and then we set up 2 Duraludon is the idea. So there may be instances where we only have the option to Trinity Charge, but even then we're able to get our energy into play. So it's actually a really big deal here. That's why we maximize copies of the Double Turbo. It's why we even have things like Quad Trekking Shoes in the deck list, to give ourselves as much access in the opening stages as possible to find DTE to be able to attach and Trinity Charge to our dudes. That's kind of what we got working on here. That's why you see an unorthodox line here as well with just the 4-2, knowing that pretty much in almost every situation you'll only get 1 Arc V-Star rolling in the majority of games at best, to be honest with you. So then for the item cards, we play 1 Rope and 1 Switch, because we have some very high retreat costs here, so making sure we can get out of our guys in terms of status conditions, or if they just get gusted for your opponent trying to buy a turn against you. Getting these is really important. Every now and then the Rope can allow you to be proactive with a Trinity Nova by pulling something into the active position that the opponent may not like as well, so that's also got some upside. We are playing 4 Ultra Ball, as well as 3 Quick Ball and 1 Evolution Incense to try and get our Pokemon into play. Ultra Ball into Starbirth is, of course, a massive play we can go for throughout the game. I am playing 1 copy of Pokegear just to add towards some supporters, because we have a fairly low draw supporter count of just 8. So having the gear and the shoes here gives us a bit more leeway to see more cards. And we are playing a couple copies of Hyper Potion to try and heal off our chunky Duraludon at times. It has great synergy with Double Turbo Energy in particular here, because it will act as the 2 energy to heal up our dudes. So that's really nice against some little prods you can take early against things like Lost Box for like undoing a cram hit, for example. It's an entire turn, so that can be very helpful at times. We are playing an interesting stadium split. The one of Training Court is going to help out against some controlling archetypes that are trying to run us out of energy, because specifically they will try and target fighting energy. So in that instance, it's an extra copy for us. It also gives us that little bit of extra leeway if we happen to have had to attach a fighting to the Arceus in the opening stages, gives us a bit of way back into the fighting energy, so we have enough to continue pulverizing the entire game. But also it gives us license to like shoo away some energy and stuff like that and not feel too discouraged by it. At the same time, I like the counter for stadiums because there's a lot of decks out there that are trying to use Path of the Peak to hit us at all. There's going to be Mew and there's going to be Regis, which will try and turn off the Skyscraper at times. So having a high stadium count is really important. That's also why I'm opting for the Collapsed right now. The two decks that I just mentioned, Reggie and Mew, both are trying to play Path to the Peak right now in a lot of instances. So having a very aggressive stadium that really hurts them can give you a big swing in the game where, obviously against the Regis, you're taking out 2 Regis in one go by removing one from the bench and also knocking out the active almost every time, and making them scrabble around for not just a couple basic Pokemon, but also then finding their next stadium, and we're stopping the push potential of Mew that little bit more, which is actually really nice when they're playing Path, right? Because it means with the Collapse being in play and the only bounce that stadium being a Path to the Peak, they're limited into their draw like massively throughout the entire game, which is really helpful for us. So that's why I'm opting to have the Collapsed in the deck list right now. We're playing 4 copies of Boss, even though Serena's obviously a card in the format, and that's because very often we will try to Boss's Orders Archeops in the Lugia matchup to deny the opponent from getting a Yveltal developed all in one turn to use their Amazing Destruction attack against us. So this is really important, and of course if they put down the Yveltal and put a couple energies onto it, you can then try and boss the Yveltal as well. We are playing the Parasols to try and protect us that a little bit more, but of course the Lugia is sometimes playing Lost Vacuum, sometimes even 2 copies in recent lists, so having proactive Boss's Orders onto Archeops or Yveltal is really important here. And the Parasols are that secondary defense, also being a handy card in the Lost Box matchup as well by stopping Sableye sprinkling onto us and that sort of thing. So yeah, really handy to have the Parasol and the Boss's Orders in here as well. The Colress gives us a decent dig into the deck to see some outs, whilst we get to hold the other resources in our hand, which is nice. And we also have 4 copies of Marnie. I really like the high Marnie count right now because I want to constantly be throwing these at Lost Box players because there's not much else we have in the way of defense in that matchup. We are playing Parasol, we are playing Hyper Potion, but I think also just spam Marnie is going to be a bit of our win condition here and try and be as big as possible, try and force that awkward prize map. So that is Arcdura. It's a relatively simple deck, not too many decisions with it, so it's a great one for beginners. And it is still making a decent amount of top 32 placements. It got a recent 2nd place finish at Regionals. I think if you're someone who's very experienced with the game, it can sometimes feel bad to play Arc Duraludon because you are very limited in what you can actually do to affect a game. But then there's that flip side. If you're newer to the game and looking for a deck to pick up, the Arceus Duraludon causes the opponent to make the hard decisions the entire time. So it can actually be your route into one of your higher win rate decks. So not to hate on Arcdura at all, sometimes it can be a meta call for any player. I do think it's a good one, specifically for those who are returning to the game or haven't played for a long time, or are just starting off their career as a player. Let's see how it works on the ladder today. I do feel like it's probably among the top 10 decks in the game, pretty comfortably actually. Even with Lugia around that has the Yveltal, we have a good amount in the deck to try and protect us. I'm playing Shoes to try and see more cards throughout the game as well, which is I think is a big inclusion. We are going first here. We have access to Quick Ball Energy, which means we can get an Arceus rolling, which is obviously very important. And looks like we're going to be up against probably a Vikavolt archetype. We're normally very good into Vikavolt because they play Speed Lightning energies, and we basically make them useless, which is really, really good for us. The only thing that's awkward about the Vikavolt matchup is we won't have access to our item cards. And especially when we've got 1 V-Star prized, we're probably going to need our item cards if we're going to get rolling, really, here. Nonetheless, I am going to simply attach the Arceus and pass and see if they can get that pop-off with Vikavolt. They maybe put off the Vikavolt if they have something like Speed Lightning to help them get there, because, of course, Skyscraper will turn off their Vikavolt from that point on. So, we'll see how they try to navigate this. So far, double Alecki V. Their first quick ball now. Pitching a water. So it looks like they're definitely going to be having Melanie and probably Radiant Greninja in their deck list. There is, as expected, the Vikavolt. See a Cape of Toughness as well. So it's definitely going to take a couple hits. Let's see what else they can conjure up. Energy Search is fine. Ah, it's their route into basic Lightning Energy. Very good for them. They're very usually playing a much higher count of Water Energy than basic Lightning. Sometimes they play as low as like 2 basic Lightning. So this is huge. Looks like they're going to be using Luminion, likely for Melanie here, if they want to get anything done. Oh wow, and Hisuian for Crobat. That is excellent for them. I'm a little surprised that they would not Luminion to take a Melanie out of deck first. It's the same amount of cards in hand, but what if you draw a Melanie now? Then your Luminion is useless, like you're -1ing yourself. And they still need to find Switch card here, right? Regardless, we will see the Fish Melanie play. And we'll see after that whether or not they can move their Alecki and initiate the lock. It's only the VMAX that has that free retreat cost. Unfortunate for the Regieleki. Now let's see. They can Ultra Ball and maybe draw a couple more cards if they have Radiant Greninja access. Getting rid of a lot of their water energies. There's the Raikou in the bin as well. Another Alecki, wow, okay. They have the rope. So the rope's good and bad. It means at least I can Trinity Charge next turn. We have to get very lucky from this Colress to actually find our one-off V-Star in a 42-card deck. Yeah, okay. Most of these cards really aren't too helpful. I'll take an Ultra Ball just in case the lock breaks for some reason. And I'll just be Trinity Charging here. Unsurprising. It's all going to go on to the big guy in the back. So the opponent's in a strange position now, where they can just continue to hit for a bit of chip damage. I guess it depends on how many Alekis they find this turn. So that puts them to 80 damage. They can do 140 this turn, maximum, right? 369, 140. Which isn't enough, so even if they get the full gang out, it's still more or less just a poke. See an Ultra Ball. That's 2 Alekis. Okay, they're just going to Paralyzing Bolt. That's completely fine for me, I think. We're just going to continue to Colress and get rid of loads of item cards. Oh, insane. We actually hit the juice. Wow, that's really good for me. Okay, let's Starbirth. Unfortunately, we prized a V here, so I'm not going to be able to do much outside of just prepare my hand for as best as possible. I'm going to hit here. I guess it means I'm making another Arceus, honestly. It doesn't feel great, but I think it's what I got to do. I'm going to take a Court just in case they have... Oh no, I never want to Court them, right? Because they're really low on Lightning Energy. Maybe I'm just taking more boss to hand. I wanted to... There's not really many good cards in my deck because it's all item cards. I guess I do it like... I'll take a Stadium Bounce to hand, but not necessarily play it this turn. Let's do this. Let's do this. And we'll just swing. Seems reasonable to me. We have 80 remaining hit points. The Max Thunder and Lightning isn't threatening right now because it's a Speed Lightning Energy over here. The opponent's simply going to Ultra Ball, so their hand is pants. But it does mean they can take the KO here. So they have a random 2-card hand. They continue to lock us up, of course. I'm just going to take as many supporters as possible, honestly. And I'm just going to pulverize. Any luck with the VSTAR or Dura? No, we get the Dura, not bad. Alright. Let's see how their random 3-card hand treats them. They need a lot. Wow. Vikavolt Melody from the random 3-card hand is such a good start for them. They probably need to find a cape as well, though, for anything to happen. They Speed Lightning the bench, so I'm not worried about anything this turn. And now I have the option to play some cards to remove them. We don't need any of these other Pokemon at this point. We'll just boss the Vikavolt, right? That's an excellent prize to take. See the Stormy Mountains. Yep, they're just toast. Seems good to me. Vikavolt decks are typically some of your best matchups in the game, to be fair. The Vikavolt decks are really looking to capitalize on Lugia and Lost Box, and if they tech the Drapions, which our opponent was, they're trying to jump on the Mew matchup as well. They're really bad against, like, the rest, to be honest with you. So, being part of the rest is another benefit of Arcdura. Let's get another game in and see how it goes. Leading out with the Arceus. We have a decent number of cards to try and find some energy here. Looks like we're up against the Reggie matchup, so the triple collapse is going to be massive. The Stadium War is just huge in general here. Looks like the opponent's playing some amount of Stormy Mountains, which means less path, which can only be a good thing for us. I'm going to start things off with a Speed Lightning Energy. Throwing away Auroras is always the mission of any Reggie gamer. You'll love to see that. Parasol does have the added benefit of protecting against Blizzard Bind as well, which is really nice. Start with a shoe. Yeah, we like that. Let's see what's in here. Our mustard is prized. That's just not something that we go for. We have both our V-Stars. We have both our Parasols. Only 2 fighting energies, so I have to be pretty particular with those. Particular with those. I think I just take these 3, to be honest. All energy. Yeah, I don't need the quick ball too much. It would really suck if the arc was to go down, but I'm not really seeing it from the opponent's hand too much. I'm debating whether or not I want to collapse basically here. Because I'm already terrified of their stadiums, do I want them to just... I mean, it gets them the free Drago, which gets them rolling a... It means they need 1 less piece, I guess. So I suppose I should do this. But it is troubling me. It scares me. But without a V-Star, our hand is pretty poor. So I'd like to get to Arc V-Star. Yeah, they immediately have the path, which makes me a little bit sad. But at least we denied the Drago for free. Now let's see what the opponent will do now. The path obviously hurts our option to Starbirth as well next turn, which is a shame. Let's see, 3 cards from Serena. Could have been greedy to play that collapsed, honestly, knowing that they likely play path as well as other stadiums. Bit of a tough call. Looks like we're just going to see a sonar here. So that's the good news. Alright, they can capture as well. Yeah, definitely not bad for us. I'm going to grab back a scoop up net. Seems reasonable. I am so lucky. Well, I guess I'm Starbirthing then. It would mean I'd only have 1 more collapsed again later, but I think it's what we're going for. Capitalize on a very slow start from the opponent. They took a net to hand. Which means they have a supporter, right? Because otherwise they just take the Serena. So let's Marnie. We're just going to grab VMAX and Colress, I think. And we'll swing. We have committed 2 stadiums, but the opponent started the war first, right? They've also played 2 stadiums. So if I just get the free turn again here, it's just like monstrous, right? It's just completely absurd. Looks like we've marnied them into a pair of shoes. Let's see the quick ball. What a crazy hand they got marnied into. Can they follow it up with a stadium bounce is the question. No bounce, no gaming. No gaming for them. Okay. I think I like Boss KO Gigas because it has a belt on, and obviously we're scared of belt. And they just discarded a Gigas as well. There's an argument to take out the Drago because it's a way that they can draw cards. But I'm scared of this belt, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Also just going to do this and power up my next Duraludon as best I can. So the collapsed have been pretty busted. It does feel like an overtech, but I think respecting Reggie's is pretty reasonable right now. It's in the top 5 of decks, right? Plus the collapse is like probably the best thing we could play against Mew. The opponent will now Ordinary Rod. At least a Gigas back. Gigas Aleki, sounds reasonable. Ultra Ball. Got rid of Marnie. And kept Rock active, which is kind of weird. Why would they not lead Drago? Right, we see a Pokestop. Yeah, so I think they're playing the list that was 2 Path, 1 Stormy, 1 Stop. That was played in a regional recently to decent success. The gang is finally assembled for them. So they can score a knockout thanks to weakness here. Looking good. Wow, they flipped the Pokestop. What if the path got milled? That's so greedy. What? That's insane. Oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. I actually probably want this Ultra Ball. No, let's say no to it. Parasol is probably better here, so I don't just get Regice blocked until they find their combo. These are all good. Double Turbo's not great. Just give myself non-stop supporters, sounds good. Let's thin this guy. Am I allowed to play Pokestop now is the question? No, because I have stadiums, right? Stadiums are the most important thing for me. Don't need this. Ah, stadium, you say. Yeah, I think I'm just going to slam stadium and take a knockout. So I don't see a reason to wait on it. The only reason to wait on it is that it's not a path. But I'm trying to make it as difficult as possible for them, right? To do anything. Force that rebuild. Alright, we do see the path. Do they have belt as well? Is it the whole shebang? There's the rock. Restored to greatness. Continue to dig through. They're pretty low in terms of cards in deck now. They've got the whole shebang. That is worrying. So we're going to get smashed into. We have one last defense. This one Duraludon has to go pretty far for us. And we probably need to find Stadium here to have any chance of doing anything good. Yikes. Shoe save us? Not saved. Well, this is probably my fault for playing that stadium on turn 2, to be honest with you. I'm gonna be frank, that was probably a huge mistake. Let's see if they can bop us all in one go here. Or if I can try and pull something out of a hat. I think the best case scenario is they just go for like a Regice poke or something like that this turn. Go see an Ultra Ball. I'm gonna recycle the big gig. I'm gonna Marnie us, okay. It means at least we find Stadium to bounce Path next turn. So as long as I don't lose immediately here, means we probably win. Crazy how that works. Let's see, air balloon over there, and then a rod. Couple cards from the Horde. Let's see where he wants to Wisdom. Wisdom, okay, interesting. Can still retreat if he wants to. But could just be sonaring back Belt. I guess you sonar back Stadium, right? Yeah, sonar's back Stadium. Okay, that makes sense. So has Belt in hand. I can put it guaranteed to the bottom of the deck. And just knock out the thing in the active. That would be third Alecki down and 3 rods played. Sorry, they've got Stadium, right? So I think I'm just doing this, and Marnie Stadium to bottom. And it's down to them to go recycle a Alecki here, find their path that they've just recovered and their last belt. But their deck is thin. They only have 4 cards remaining in deck, so I guess it depends on how the... Wait, okay. I guess they have to... Ah, they don't need to find the Alecki because they're there. Oh man, what a crazy game. That's pretty cool. It's amazing that we lost with the 3 collapse in our deck list. That's really decent from them. I probably played like an idiot with definitely the first collapse coming down before I saw a path. Because then I had to play another one just to Starbirth. So that was probably just like completely my fault, but they do have the technology. Let's have one more game with the deck. It does feel bad to lose to Reggie's when I'm so heavily teched, but there you go. They only need a couple turns to do the thing. Alright, not the worst going second hand, not the best though. Might be up against a Eternatus Wheezing here. Certainly Wheezing. Collapse is also really good against Eternatus. Don't have to tell you that. A turn 1 Star Alchemy. What could it be? Switch card Boost Shake. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Busted. Alright. I really don't mind Galamine being in play, so I think I just get rid of these. Take an Arceus and then play the Colress. Oh, it's too many good cards. That's the problem. They easily could be playing all the hammers and fans and all that nonsense. I'm thinking I probably want the double turbo, honestly. Because if I turbo charge this turn, put 1 on my Arceus, means next turn I can try and boss. But I won't have enough cards to boss V-Star, right? Because I'd have to play the rope and this turn. I'd have top deck and then I'd have to get rid of my Colress, but that's probably fine. I guess I can get another double turbo from the Starbirth anyway. So let's do this. I think I will try Trinity Charge here, because I think it's best around... it does lock me into boss, but I'm fine with that. I think it's just best around their hammer shanana plays. If I get Marnied out of the rope, I'd feel so silly. I guess with my hand, I just go all metal. Alright, let's see how they react to this. Peers. Means at least they're going to start poisoning. Yep. Okay, just a Crobat. Oh, so they're not playing Eternatus, they're just... Okay, that's fine. Possibly Crobat VMAX is in their deck. Alright. Let's Starbirth. We're just going to take Marnie. Oh no, I could take Mustard here. Yeah, Mustard is good. I guess I take the other VMAX, Mustard VMAX, and then just... There we go. I'm doing it. Oh, I guess I could take Parasol. That would be pretty nasty, huh? Yeah, that sounds good. It's a bit risky. Maybe Mustard was just bad here. We'll do this. I forgot that I'd already played Boss. I'm not going to lie. You all know that I forgot to play Boss when I said the word Mustard. But at least the Parasol was a good card to take. Alright, they're going to Sableye. I guess I played Dark Patches. Oh, they played Raihan. Okay. I mean, that's completely fine. We've not seen this card for a long time. Pretty retro. Does the trick, though, in this instance. We did play immensely greedy with this Mustard. It's been a long day. Alright, let's Marnie. I was hoping to find Ultra Ball and then just get never punished. Alright, we do find our VMAX at least. Now I really do want to get an attachment in. Not that kind of attachment, though. I'll take this, because it definitely seems like they're trying to do some setup damage. And we're threatening game next turn with a pretty big wall in their way. Clara's completely fine by me. The attachment to Moltres. This is a real dark box going on. It's got the whole gang. It feels the need to play Moltres and Drapion. Alright. We are protected from this thanks to Parasol, but it don't matter. We got the boss. Alright, we've played some of the lower tier stuff today, I guess you could say. The loss to Regis is probably my fault, let's be honest. I want to say that most Regis will have more paths than the two we faced anyway. But they did Sonar to get the one back, right? So they know what to do in the matchup. But yeah, that's the deck. Let me know what you think about the list. What do you think about the shoes? What do you think about the collapsed? And all that good stuff. I'll hear your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.